Welcome back to the Shine Within podcast. I have a beautiful clairvoyant soul. I would call her my sister already just by feeling her energy. I already sense it. Hanna Bier. She is a money coach and the founder of Money Bliss, specializing in helping ambitious women around the world transform their relationship with money from the inside out. As the author of the new book, Wealth from Within, which, by the way, I love that title, of course. Hannah combines her clairvoyant abilities with her proprietary methodology to uncover and release deep-rooted money blocks, enabling her clients to experience financial overflow and a life filled with joy and abundance. Through her work, she empowers women to achieve financial success without compromising their health, wellness, or happiness. Yay! Yay, let's give a round of applause for Hannah. And I'm so pumped up today. Normally, I don't have this much energy. And I swear to you, I only had one cup of coffee and that's it. But I woke up this morning pumped up and I'm ready for our beautiful conversation. And thank you so much for being on my show today.
I'm so excited to be here, Gina.
Yeah. So, Hannah, you've spent 7 years exploring whether it's possible to create wealth without compromising our health and, of course, happiness. What inspired you to start living this journey and start this journey? And what were some of those key discoveries along the way?
Yeah, well, I really needed it. I always tell my clients that there is nothing you can bring me that can shock me because I had all the money blocks, all the money worries, all the money fears. It was a gigantic mess with money. And I was dreaming of moving to a commune and maybe just opting out of this whole money business because it was pushing my buttons so bad. But I realized that there is no way to escape money on planet Earth. And I really needed to heal my relationship with money and befriend it. And what I discovered along the way blew my mind and heart wide open. And so more and more people came to me asking me to help them with their money and their business as well. And when I first started working with clients on money, the words money bliss, money bliss, money bliss kept coming through because it's not just about more money and growing your savings and growing your net worth and making sure your investments are lovely and profitable. We obviously, that's fun and we totally do that. But it's also about having the peace of mind with money and feeling secure with money, feeling free with money. And I just love being blissfully happy with my money, and I love helping other people reach that state as well.
Beautiful. Yes. On my goal sheets for my clients, I always have them answer questions. What are your goals for relationships? 1 year, 5 year, 10 year? What are your goals for health? 1 year, 5 year, 10 year? And of course, what is your relationship going to look like with money? And for myself, going back to when I had my mentor back in 2017, no, 2018, take that back. She did the same thing. And that's kind of where I got the idea from. And I realized that when I put all my goals and when I hit that 5 year mark, I had increased my money. But I think it's because I was getting better inside. I really was feeling happier because I was changing my behaviors when it came, of course, I'm not drinking anymore. My relationships were getting better with like my family and friends. And so once I started feeling good inside, abundance just came naturally. I wasn't seeking, I wasn't looking. It just was a natural flow. Now, I know often people talk about money and they're like, oh, it's a little bit uncomfortable. Why do you think money is such an uncomfortable and often taboo subject for many women? And how can we begin to change this narrative?
Yeah, so on the surface, it can seem as though this is a really shallow subject, right? It's about making money, it's about being impressive, it's about having the big house and the thriving business and the cool clothes and all of that. But really, money goes so much deeper. The way that money flows in your life today directly correlates with how love flowed between you and your parents when you were little. I'm going to say this again. The way money flows in your life today directly correlates with how love flowed between you and your parents when you were little. So money really is an expression of love. When you were little, your parents loved you, or your main caretakers loved you by giving you nutritious food, by giving you a snuggly bed to sleep in, by playing with you and showing you the world and giving you kisses and snuggles and words of affection. And then as you grew older, you were supposed to more and more replace the care of your parents and learn to care for yourself. As a young adult, you needed to find your own place to live, find your own path with work, learn to manage money on your own. And so the way that we now take care of ourselves as adults, we do it largely with money. So we love ourselves with the use of money. We create a beautiful home with money. We fly across the country to our best friend's wedding using money, right? Like we buy food to nourish our bodies with money. But many of us in our early years, we didn't receive the love and the care that we really needed. Maybe it just felt really scarce. Maybe we could never really get the love that we were craving. That's definitely my story, where it just never enough. It was never enough. And then later on, I grew up and it still felt like money was never enough. I never felt secure enough. I never felt loved enough. I never felt good enough. And so this sense of lack really showed in my finances. For some of my clients, they're amazing money makers, but where is the money? It just seems to vanish. It just keeps running through their fingers. They make so much money, but they really have nothing to show for. Or some of my clients are on this crazy roller coaster ride of like making a lot, losing it, making a lot, losing it. So they always have these cycles of abundance and scarcity. And so for those clients, they often had an upbringing where it felt like love wasn't dependable. Sometimes the parents were there and present and loving, and sometimes there was a lot of chaos and stress in their lives. And so that same pattern then shows up in their relationship with money later on. Yet another camp that's really popular, that's really common, is the camp where love always came at a cost. When you were little, maybe you needed to be the good little girl or the good little boy and always have perfect grades and always, have everything perfectly lined up. And only then would your parents praise you and love you. And then later on, maybe in your work life with money, it also feels like you have to sacrifice in order to make money. You always have to kind of hurt yourself or betray your own values in order to make money. So it never really feels worth it. Never really feels like you can just be loved for being you or get paid for being you. And so I love to explain it this way to really show that those complicated feelings that we have with money and all those emotional hooks that we have with money, all these buttons that money pushes, it goes so much deeper than just the numbers and the math of money. The way that we engage with money in our lives is about, it really centers around the question of how comfortable do I feel receiving love? And so one of the core things that I do in my relationship with my clients when we work together is I love turning them into amazing receivers where they're wide open and they receive all the money and all the financial security that they could ever desire, and where it becomes really normal for them to have all of their needs met and all of their desires fulfilled. And when a person gets to that place, it actually feels really natural. It feels a lot more natural than the states of financial distress that they had been experiencing until that point.
That makes a lot of sense, especially going back to childhood. I know that I noticed that my husband, when he was young, he grew up in India, very poor. He has three other siblings, and his mom and his dad would sacrifice a lot. They didn't have much. They practically live in a hut, but they loved the children so much and gave them an immense amount of love. And now all of them are thriving. Two of them are engineers, two of them are doctors. And they all live around the world. Two
Yeah.
are in England, one is in Canada, and then of course my husband's here in the US. It's amazing. And you're absolutely right. That's like a great example. The love that they actually give. Yes. I love that. Okay, so I was going to go ahead and ask you that. What are some of those common money blocks you see, and how do they impact a person's ability to achieve financial overflow?
Yeah, a very common one is actually a cultural one, and it is the myth that you always have to be earning more. So everybody I know and all of my clients, when they come to me, they've read some success story of a client who like doubled their income in the first 2 weeks or reached 10K within a week of working with me. And they're like, I want to make more money. And like, yes, of course, it's what we help you do. But that's not the entire solution to your money issues. But most of us are in that camp of believing if only I were to make more money, my financial problems would go away. But really, for most people, it's like pouring more water into a bucket that has holes in it. where they make more and it just kind of flows right out. And also the mindset of I need more, I need more, I need more, I need more really actually communicates it's not enough, it's not enough, it's not enough, it's not enough. Um, it's also a very American thing. I live in Germany, and in Germany, there is not this feeling of everybody needs to be earning more and more and more. There is not this culture of needing to show that you have a Louis Vuitton bag or needing to make sure that you have the biggest house on the street. There's this joke in Germany that when you meet a millionaire, you'll know because they'll be wearing Birkenstocks and have like an old purse. Like people don't gain more status by showing off their wealth in Germany. And that's different in many places. I moved from London to Germany and it's different in London. People like to show off whether they have money. And so it's really fascinating. But this feeling of like, I'm not enough, my money is not enough, it really is like a sinkhole. It's like this gigantic hole in your bucket that just sucks everything out of your abundant bucket. And so this is actually it's a little bit of a paradox because many of my clients are a little bit surprised when they discover that that's actually one of the biggest money blocks because they think, well, if I feel like it's not enough and I'm constantly striving and wanting more, wouldn't that be getting me more? But really, they've been living in this state for years, if not decades, and it clearly hasn't worked, right? Because they're still not in the financial state that they actually desire. So paradoxically, what we need to do is we need to help you feel the sense of overflow, security, happiness, satisfaction, contentment, where everything kind of clicks into place. And from that place of happiness, your abundance will expand so much faster than, if you were to continue in the state of it's not enough, it's not enough, it's not enough.
Yes, in abundance. So how would you define abundance?
Yeah, to me, abundance is our natural state. Before working on money with my clients, I was actually an emotional healing expert, and I felt like the last person who should be teaching on money, because I had all the issues. I was, such a mess. So that was, I never, ever, ever in a million years would have dreamt at that time that I would ever be a money coach. But I'm clairvoyant and I'm an energy healer. And so as it was clear my clients' blocks and my own blocks around receiving love, blocks around being happy, blocks around any difficult things that happened in our past, money just miraculously started showing up. And at first, I really didn't want to take credit for it. I didn't feel that there was any relation to a work that we were doing, but my clients kept starting all these successful businesses and getting these windfalls of money, and their husbands start getting upgrades. And just like financially, we started to thrive just as a side effect of doing all these energy clearings. And so it led me to discover that abundance really is, if we just heal emotionally and if we just reach higher states of consciousness, it is impossible for our financial station to dramatically improve because abundance is our natural state. It is not normal to feel like it's not enough or to feel like you have to betray yourself in order to receive it, or it's not normal for it to feel like a burden. And so at some level in our bodies, we know that, because many of my clients, they grew up with a difficult financial situation and then they continued in that pattern for their adult years. But there was always this feeling inside of their bodies, like this little inner compass that told them money is supposed to be blissful. Money is supposed to be abundant. I'm supposed to feel safe. I'm supposed to feel like I can relax and let go at a very deep level in my life. And so it's just so fascinating that even though many of us never really experienced money bliss, there's a part of us that is still steering us along that path to this original state of abundance.
Yes, I always say abundance is not just having more, it's being more because the world needs your shine. I think, yeah. And as a collective consciousness, I think we all have it. It's just like you said, it is that kind of that mindset as well, and those limiting beliefs and how we think about ourselves. So yeah, yeah. Let's talk a little bit about your clairvoyancy. That is amazing, by the way. It's like I speak to a lot of mediums, psychics, just sensitive people. I love it all. Because since I became sober, I've always had this gift. I've always had a knowing. I've always had a sense. I'm more of an empath. I've heard voices before, yes. I haven't seen too much, but I definitely shift a lot and I sense. Now I'm starting to learn more of my gifts. So I would love for you to talk about your clairvoyant abilities and how it plays a role in your work with clients. And how do you use these abilities to identify and address deep-rooted financial issues?
Yeah, so I've always been this way. For the longest time, I've just thought that that was normal. When I was a little kid, I would like talk to the fly on the wall and I would, talk to the fairies in the woods. And I would, I knew my past lives without even knowing what past lives were. I thought that was normal. And I remember this moment when I was in school with my friends waiting for the school bus. And I remember turning over to them and saying, "Isn't it funny that the three on the school bus always flows red and the floor is green and the two is yellow?" And they looked at me and they were like, "No, the letters are all black." I'm like, "No, no, no. I mean the glow around them, because like numbers have a frequency too." And my friends were like, "What?" And so I started to realize that oftentimes I was like pointing at things or explaining things, but not everybody seemed to know or seemed to see what I was seeing. But as a little kid, I just thought, well, maybe they need glasses. Maybe they just can't see so well. Because I learned as a little kid that some people have hearing aids and some people have like, glasses and some people have braces, like some people get a little help for their senses. So I just thought, okay, well, some people just don't see it, but I was always totally convinced that it was there. I've always talked to angels. I've always received really clear information even before, learning about that from anywhere at all. And then I remember in my early 20s entering the self-development world. And for the first time hearing the word psychic, I was like, well, that's not me. Like, because it's so real. Like I see energy as clearly as I see the table that I'm sitting at. Like it's so real and tangible to me. It's not magical at all. And so the whole psychic business just felt like really magical and for the chosen few. And what I actually really see is that everybody is psychic. Like dogs communicate by sending pictures. I can talk to cats, I can talk to any animal that is willing, and I can talk to people's souls. When I was in university, I don't do this anymore because I don't think it's very ethical. But when I was at a party, I would kind of talk to people's souls and have them come over and bring me a drink. So I would say, "Hey, bring me a drink, bring me a drink." And they would like a little puppet, they would walk over and bring me what I wanted. And so that was completely normal for me until I realized that some people call it psychic and think that that's special. But it is a natural side effect of the energy clearings that I do, is that your senses begin to open up and people begin to master energy and begin to perceive the world more clearly and just receive more information about their senses through their senses. It's just like we open up your ears and your eyes and you're sensing, you're perceiving. And it's really nice because it means that you can make decisions with a lot more information and more accurate information than you did previously. An example of that is that, for example, you could look at 5 different investment opportunities and see how much money each one of them would make, and see how long it would take to make this money and how safe is it and what's the risk attached to it, or what career path should I take, or what should I offer in my business? What should the pricing be? So you can get really accurate information about very tangible things in your business, in your work, and in your finances that takes out all the gambling, So money isn't such a gamble anymore, but it becomes a really predictable thing. And then it's not that you set goals and you magically manifest them, but you set goals and you see exactly how the energy kind of weaves in order to make it happen. And that for many people, it's like that predictability feels really nice.
Yes, and that's hilarious that you were able to do that when you were in at the university. You go ahead and say, "Let me communicate with their soul and then let's see what they do." That is so cool. Now, for me, when I'm out on the freeway or anywhere out, especially the malls, yuck, I feel everybody's energy. I feel what everybody is going through in their life. And I'm like, oh no, I felt like someone just had someone passed away. I feel like someone's angry, just got into a fight, or there hasn't been good energy lately. And I'm like, and maybe that's why I'm there, just to give good energy to people. But I noticed that I do absorb a lot of energy, and I just don't know how to go to a place where I feel like, I don't want to absorb energy. How do I do that? I mean, just from your expertise of being clairvoyant, and maybe I should ask you this question.
Yeah. So when I walk into a room, I have my energy flood the room because I'm the one who is aware of the energy. I'm the one who actively reads the energy. So it feels like it's kind of my job to lead a little bit because otherwise, so everybody's human, right? Like they bring their stuff into the space. Like you said, they bring their worries and their heartaches and their, petty grievances and real heartbreaks. And so the room is filled with the cocktail of human emotion in that space. And so I like to just flood the entire room with my energy and just kind of take over and just make sure that everything kind of moves into a higher space so that people find relief, so that people find solutions, so that people find resolve. One of the intentions that I've set is that when I'm around, solutions happen, forward movement happens, people begin to feel better, and emotions begin to flow in a positive, productive kind of way. So I like to just kind of move into spaces and make sure that my energy is what uplifts everything. And that is something that you can wire into yourself. That's a little program that you can do so that it doesn't feel like you go into a room and this like wave of heaviness washes over you. Instead, we want your wave of empowered energy to wash over everybody else and lift them into a better state.
Oh, beautiful. Okay, I'm going to try that next time. Thank you for that. Let's talk about your book, Wealth from Within. I mean, I love the title, of course. Yay! What got you inspired to write it, and how was the writing process for you?
Yeah, my daughter was a year and a half and she wasn't really sleeping. Like she woke up every 45 minutes and I was so tired, but it just kept feeling like this book was knocking. Like this book just wanted to be written. And then the book told me what needed to be in the book. And so it kind of I had all the information, I just needed to start writing. That's again like that for anybody who's interested in doing money this way. I find it really useful to be able to download a book before it needs to be written. So it's a really quick, harmonious process. So I actually wrote this book at night, in between tending to my daughter as she woke up, just like 45-minute increments in the dark of the night. Within a month and a half, the book was done. And so it's a really lovely book. I love the old-timey self-development books like Key to Yourself by Bennett Bloodworth. Those like very old-timey, very short little books that just are so packed with it, just the juiciest, most amazing mindset shifts. And so it's a very quick read. It's supposed to be on your bedside table or on your desk as you're working, just a reminder that abundance is, so you can flick through it and just let yourself be uplifted into an abundant state whenever you need it. Definitely go check it out. It's on my website, hannabier.com/book, or you can find it on Amazon at Wealth from Within by Hanna Bier.
Love that. How old is your daughter?
She's 3 now.
She's 3. Oh, so cute. Now, yeah, as a mother and of course as a successful entrepreneur, how do you actually maintain balance in your own life? And what practice do you actually find essential to nurturing both your personal and professional growth?
Oh, it's really fascinating. I actually had this like really big, just it felt like a big discovery to me at the time. So in my early 20s, I was really, really, really deeply depressed. I had an anxiety disorder. I had been anorexic for most of my life, and I was in a really deep, dark hole. And that's when I discovered energy clearings and emotional healing. And that's when I went into the first business that I shared with you. And that business became quite successful, especially financially successful, to the point where many of my clients asked me about my approach to money and business. And the pull became so strong. There was such a demand for it that my business pivoted into teaching about money. Um, but I spent such a long time clearing my energy and just clearing it, clearing it. And so when I say clearing energy, you can just picture it as like taking the deepest, most cleansing shower. It feels so good. Just imagine like the most wonderful waterfall just washing through you and washing away all of your fears and all of your worries and all of your, confidence wobbles and all the places where it feels like life isn't going the way you're expecting it to, and just clearing all the way, all the traumas and all the pain and all the heaviness, and it leaves you feeling really light and bright and happy. And I thought that with my past that I needed to do this forever. And I thought, okay, I'm a quite a messed up person. My life is quite a mess. So if this is what it takes for me to maintain a healthy, good, productive state, then I'm happy to do this for the rest of my life. And I think for like 5 or 6 years, I did an hour of energy clearing every single day. But now it actually I don't have a single practice. Like I get up in the morning, my daughter climbs all over me, gives me a kiss, I give her breakfast, drop her off at nursery, I go back home, I work for a couple of hours, and then I spend the afternoon with her. And then in the evenings, I talk to wonderful people like you or have a couple of client calls. And that's really actually it. I don't meditate, I don't go to spiritual retreats. I'm just I'm just overwhelmingly happy. I'm really, really, really so blissed out and happy. And what I discovered is that when your emotional baggage clears, it's gone. Like at some point, there's nothing really to clear. Like there are no big mountains to climb. There's just a really happy life to enjoy. And I didn't know that this existed. I always thought that life was going to be an uphill climb to some extent, but I'm really in a very enjoyable state right now. And so there is kind of no yeah, there's no practice. Like there's no routine. I'm just really enjoying my life. And I'm so grateful that I started on this path when it started calling me. Because I remember when I was in university, I started out studying fashion. But in the dark of winter, I would walk to my university classes, like kicking the snow with my feet. It was so early in the morning, like everybody was still sleeping, like early, early in the morning. I started walking to class. I remember this voice telling me, start a business, start a business, start a business. And that was when I was just 22 years old. And I'm so glad I started on this path when it seemed so crazy, so out of reach. Like, what do you even mean I should start a business? And I'm so glad I started and everything that it has given me. And so anybody who's listening who's got this voice whispering to them right now, it may feel as crazy as it did to me at the time. Maybe there's a voice whispering to you to change careers or to move to a new country or a new state, or maybe to do something with your money that you haven't done before, or to, start a podcast, whatever it is. I just want to urge you to trust that voice, because like the lifestyle and the ease and the bliss and the happiness that I have right now, I really started in that moment of beginning to listen to that voice and allowing myself to follow it.
That inner guidance, right? Now, did you literally hear those voices, or do you just felt like it was saying it within you?
I did hear it. It was a whisper. It was one of my angels.
That's so awesome because I did experience that when I had asked a question out loud, like, what should I get my sister and my mom as a gift, And then I heard oils. I'm like, I even got goosebumps now because it sounded just like that, right? And I asked my husband because he was laying next to me. I'm like, did you just say something? He's like, no. I'm like, oh my goodness. So I kind of like freaked out a little bit because I've never experienced voices like I told you. I have a more of a knowing and a feeling, not hearing so much, but now I'm actually starting to hear. It kind of slowed down after that. I was like, okay, maybe Gina's not ready for this yet. But it's so interesting because it's so true. You do. I mean, I heard a voice. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. And it guides you. And that's exactly what I got for my sister and my mom. I got them bath oils because I work at a spa. Also, I'm in the massage business and they love it. They're like, I want more. I want more because I really think essential oils is so beautiful. It's really nice to have a routine. And then for me, it's more like a morning routine, breathing those essential oils, sending your attention for the day and just being grateful for anything that comes my way, even if it's not what I would want, let's just say. Oh my goodness. Okay, but back to back to my questions because I tend to go off on a tangent and we'll just start rambling on. That's just my personality. But for those who are just starting to explore the relationship with money, because I do get a lot of questions about money, what advice would you go ahead and give to them to help them move towards financial freedom and happiness?
Yeah, the first thing is something that I wish I had really deeply understood a lot sooner, is that I can't escape money. Because for years I was like, well, I felt so ashamed and so guilty about my financial situation and everything that I didn't know and all the mistakes that I was making that I didn't want to address it. I didn't want to look. I just wanted to bury my head in the sand. And I just really wish I had mustered up the courage to start healing my relationship with money sooner. Because when the penny dropped and I realized I can't escape money, I really can't escape money. And every moment that I'm rejecting money, I'm missing out on so much happiness and so much joy and so much, obviously, financial abundance, but also time abundance, but also satisfaction when work is going really well. I just really felt like, I finally started getting this fire under my ass that led me to take it seriously and to really start on this path of healing my relationship with money. So anybody who's listening who's kind of gotten comfortable in their discomfort, anybody who's like, yeah, but like everybody I know struggles with money. And it's true. Like there's a study that says that 92% of Americans would say that money is their biggest stressor. So you can just safely assume that every single person you know, whether they have money or they don't have money, whether they have a job that they love or they don't, whether they're a business owner or an employee, whatever their situation is, pretty much everybody feels stressed out about money. Like hardly anybody feels really happy and relaxed and safe and secure with money. And so it's often really normalized. This money struggle is quite normalized. But any moment that you spend staying in your comfortable discomfort is a moment that you're missing out on so much abundance, financial, emotional, and otherwise. And so if there is a voice inside of you that's saying it's time to make a change, really begin to listen to it more closely and take it seriously because, your life might depend on it. One of my biggest accomplishments in my life is really that I can spend as much time with my daughter as I want to. I'm not a stressed out parent. We got back from Croatia yesterday. I gave Grace the option to go to nursery or not go to nursery today. We spent the afternoon, outside jumping on the trampoline. And it's not that I'm preoccupied during that time. Like I'm fully present with her. I'm like fully in the moment, enjoying my life. And so it's not just money. It's not just the numbers and math of money. It's also that your financial stress affects every area of your life. Many of my clients come to me with these crazy body aches and pains that no doctor seems to be able to fix because of their very difficult relationship with money. And it's only when their money begins to improve that their body begins to relax and those symptoms go away. So those are just two examples, definitely your parenting and your health that are so deeply intertwined with money. And so you can read all the parenting books, but still not be present because your financial worries are taking over. You can eat all the vegetables, but you'll still be stressed out and unable to sleep at night. And so what I'm saying is this desire within you to want to be financially abundant and to want to have peace with money is so valid. Follow it and follow it today. Even just by, the simplest step is just get my book. Wealth from Within. And I also have a 10-minute wealth creation routine on my website, hannabier.com. It can be a tiny, tiny, tiny step, but begin to make that promise to yourself that you're going to figure out how to be abundant and happy with money.
That's right. And you also offer a free gift called the Money Bliss Subliminal. Can you tell us more about that and how it can support our listeners on their journey to financial overflow?
Yeah, so the Money Bliss Subliminal is a very special layered subliminal. It's an audio track, and when you download it, all you'll hear is like really beautiful, soothing sounds, little ocean sounds, a little twinkly music. It's just 4 minutes long, but my clients love listening to it day in and day out. They just loop it and they listen to it over and over and over and over again. So your conscious mind only hears really beautiful, soothing music, but your subconscious mind is drinking in really powerful millions upon millions of layered abundance manifestations that are really positive, really empowering, really peaceful. And it's a great way to start rewiring yourself for more abundance in your life. And you can get it at hannabier.com/subliminal.
Beautiful. And what are some success stories from your clients that particularly stand out to you? And when they've transformed their financial situation, can you share what they've experienced?
Yeah, my favorite thing is when clients say, I haven't even thought about money in so long. That's my favorite thing because that's also one of my personal favorite outcomes with money is how little I think about it. And I remember when I first went on this 7-year quest of trying to figure out money, so many of the financial experts that I was reading was all about like budgets and spreadsheets and constantly thinking about your money, or every day you have to like go manifest money and do your manifestation practice. And I thought, okay, that sounds reasonable. I get it. But actually, over time, I started thinking about money less and less and less and less. And it just started going better and better and better and better. So my favorite outcome is when a client says, I don't know, I never really think about money. When I check my bank accounts, everything is going way better than I even thought. Everything's going amazingly. So I really kind of don't have a reason to think about it much. That's my favorite outcome. But in terms of my clients' perspectives, I had a photographer who started, and within 2 weeks, she doubled her income. So my clients really feel so happy about that because it really proves to them that they can make money, that they can provide for themselves financially. And if a person can make 10K, 20K a month once, they can do it over and over and over and over again. And the more frequently that they do it, the easier it becomes. I would say that my photographer client success story is like a recent favorite because it meant so much to her.
That's so amazing. Now, I wasn't sure if I was going to bring this up, but you are in a sobriety journey yourself. Is that correct? Yes. Can
It
you
is
talk a little bit
true.
about that?
It's been over 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations. What changes have you noticed for yourself? I mean, I can already, hello, you've already pretty much explained it all throughout the podcast, but just overall in your experience, what are you noticing that's so different?
Yeah, I remember. So my drinking was really at its worst when I was a university student and I was partying. I was sometimes be drunk for days. Um, and I remember the people around me were kind of getting older and older as I was in my, late teens, very early 20s. But many of the people that I was partying with, I noticed they were like 23, they were 24, 25, 26, 27, and they had nothing going on. Like they didn't have any interesting stories to tell. They didn't have any personal growth. And so after some time, I just looked at them and there's just this wave of shock washed over my body. I remember this one morning, waking up and, at like somebody's place, and we had been partying and drinking the night before. And I just looked around at the people at the table and been like, oh my God, it would be my absolute worst nightmare to at some point end up like you, to end up with like nothing really useful that I had contributed, nothing really important that I had done, and to just be in this space of just thinking about myself and numbing and dumbing myself with alcohol. And it was almost like looking into the mirror and seeing a future version of myself and where this path would lead me. And so at the time, it was like everybody was drinking, everybody, it was just cool. You're a college student, that's what you're supposed to be doing. But in that moment, I remember getting up from the table, walking home. I'd never had a drink again. Like that was just from excessive drinking to zero in one moment because I was like, I'm going to do something with my life. And I can now see that alcohol does not have a place in my life if I really want to live. I want to stop numbing and dumbing myself. And I was still very, very, very far from getting answers to all of the questions that were on my mind, but at least I wasn't lying to myself through the veil of alcohol and distracting myself from the pain that I was living in. But the pain kind of had a lot of truth. The pain asked questions like, how can I be happy? What am I supposed to do with my life? What's my path in life? How can I find friendships that are nourishing? Where am I supposed to live? What am I supposed to be doing for a living? How can I become a mature person? All of those questions, and money and alcohol was kind of masking those. And so without alcohol, I had to face them and I had to find answers for them versus just staying in this stupid numb state.
Yes, and well, congratulations, by the way. That is amazing. And I always love success stories when it comes to business, but most of all, I love success stories when it comes to overcoming alcohol. That, for me, alcohol was my best friend and my enemy at the same time back then. And I noticed when I had mentioned this before earlier in the podcast that once I stopped drinking, I just started getting a lot of information, answers to questions that I've always had asked. but never received when I was masking. And it's just a beautiful transformation when you're truly being yourself and not that other spirit that's trying to take over. I think that's why they call them spirits.
Yeah.
Yeah, but good for you. I'm so, and I hope listeners listen to this story because lucky for you, you discovered that in college, right? I was just starting in college and then it just all the way up to my mid 30s. And then finally there was that breaking point in that point where I was like, okay, I'm gonna die. It was literally like life or death. So yes, look at who you surround yourself with and do you want to be like them in the future? If the
Yeah.
answer is no, then there's your answer. You know what to do. And you have to find out what's best for you. AA didn't really work for me. 12-step didn't really work for me. A true mentor had helped me because it was mostly one-on-one, and that's why I love coaches and mentors working one-on-one because I feel like I got the most bang for the buck, right? But lastly, where can our listeners? I know you already mentioned that your website, but can you just go ahead and say it again one more time for our listeners who want to contact you?
Absolutely. My website is hannabier.com, HANNABIER.com. You can find more information about my book, Wealth from Within. You can download the Money Bliss Subliminal, and you can also download my free 10-minute wealth creation practice. And you're also welcome to follow me on Instagram at Hannah Money Bliss. And definitely come say hi. I always love connecting with people. So if you just want to share your ahas and your feedback about this podcast episode, I would love to hear from you.
Beautiful. And any last words or thoughts you'd like to share?
That the reason why you decided to listen to this podcast episode is so absolutely valid. There is a part of you that wants more for you, that wants more love, more happiness, a deeper life experience for you. And, it set you on this path. It is not a coincidence that you're listening to this. And I'm just wondering what the next step is for you. And I can imagine that it's already right under your nose. And I just want to encourage you to take it.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Hannah. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you today.
Same here. Thanks, Gina.